in 100,000 each, or no, it was more than that. But and Reagan got his reward for the big tax cuts that they got, and all the subsidies and contracts that they got too. I wondered if I could ask Phillip if he knew anything about the Joint Chief of Staffs, how they line up, the Joint Chiefs. I know the Air Force is dying to bomb 10,000 targets in Iran. They've got every utility, every warehouse, everything lined up to hit. But I thought the Navy and the Army were reluctant. Do you know anything about that? Or they usually do not say things too publicly. The generals.
Yeah, I do know. I do know a lot of people that do talk about that and are pretty well informed. And apart from the Air Force, just because the Air Force feels it's been denied its war in Iraq and Afghanistan, where it plays almost no role, they want to go ahead and bomb. But the other armed services and Hagel himself do not want to get involved in Syria. They do not want to get involved in Iran. And I would also add, I have still pretty good connections in the intelligence community, and the intelligence community is 100%, except at the top political level, of course. But right. In terms of the working levels of the intelligence community, is 100% against these wars.
Well, that's nice. The bad guys.
That is great. Yeah.
But will it matter? What is the ultimate? What do you foresee?
Yeah, right. That's good.
What do you foresee as the ultimate outcome of all of this? Obama reaching out to Rouhani, Netanyahu.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, I think the problem with Obama is he doesn't stand for anything, and I think he's got some good instincts. I think he may even, at the bottom, be a good man. But the fact is, he doesn't act like that. He's given to making a lot of very intelligent-sounding speeches that go nowhere. And the fact is, I would love to see this current negotiation with Iran produce an agreement with Iran where we won't have a war. I would love to see, basing on this current negotiation to take away Syria's chemical weapons, that we pursue that and continue to negotiate on other issues and maybe even come up with a ceasefire on the civil war in Syria. We could do all these things, but it requires the president and leaders in the Senate to get 100% behind these programs. And, they kind of walk halfway up there and they sort of look at the scene and then they kind of back off. And that's been the problem with American foreign policy. There's a good friend of mine who's been an ambassador in a couple of different countries who said the United States in the last 15, 20 years has had no foreign policy. All it does as a first step, it threatens force. And if that doesn't work, it uses force. And that's not diplomacy and that's not foreign policy.
But it looks like our economy is going to be about, all war all the time, though. Becoming a privatized military, a privatized police force, everything like that. Just pure mercenary economy.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's the real danger. All of this is becoming outsourced. The control over it is a lot less. We no longer have that clear distinction that the military serves the civilian population. I mean, that's not there anymore. We have a professional military, but at the same time, bear in mind that soldiers don't check their consciences when they join the military. They realize they have a job to do that in many cases is going to be unpleasant or worse. But the fact is, there's a lot of dissent in the military, just as there's a lot of dissent in the intelligence community. A lot of these people see exactly what's going on. They see it firsthand.
No.
And they're not comfortable with it.
No, because they want to be able to they want to be able to live an authentic, honest life with some integrity, like we all do. And this crazy system is making that impossible.
That's right. We're becoming a country where war is the normal. And for this I blame, I have to blame George Bush for this. George Bush declared a global war on terror, which never ends and never will end. And this basically has turned the United States into a country that is constantly at war. We've never been like that in our entire history. Mm-hmm. And it would have been great if Obama had essentially realized this and dismantled it, but he's actually in some ways made it worse.
Mm-hmm. Well, we just have to admit to ourselves that, the president, like Congress and all of them, they're just lobbyists.
Yeah, they represent interests that are not necessarily the American people, that's for sure.
It's to carve up public money and put it into wealthy private pockets. It's just what happens all through history. They're consolidating, power's consolidating, and sooner or later it'll have to be dispersed.
Yeah, I think Michael, in fact, wrote a book on the last century of the Roman Republic. And if you look at the history of that last century, the parallels between modern-day America and the Roman Republic before it collapsed, due to the corruption and the political chicanery that went on, I think are very, very strong.
And the assassinations and all of that, too.
Well, I guess that's just how power works till now. I mean, power's always worked like that. It's always about force. And, but everybody says, let me ask you both one question because I don't get this at all. What are we getting out of the fact that we invaded Iraq? Are we getting a pipeline? I mean, what is the reason that we really did it? Because there obviously is a reason.
Well, that's an excellent question, Roseanne. Phillip, answer it for us. You know the answer.
Yeah, well, actually, we haven't gotten anything to give you the answer, from the back end out. It's cost us $5 trillion. The original intention, there were two original intentions. They felt that the U.S. companies would be able to cash in on the oil. That was one intention. But the real reason was that the people in the Pentagon, the neoconservatives, who were basically concerned mostly with Israel, pushed this agenda because they thought that it was a good idea for Israel that Iraq would be broken up as a nation.
Yeah, when I went to Baghdad, I stayed at the Hotel Palestine. I mean, Saddam Hussein, among his sins, he was not friendly toward Israel. He was, or let's put it this way, he was supportive of the Palestinian people, and that was not acceptable. But all we've gotten is a huge debt from Iraq, to answer Roseanne's question.
But somebody, and again, it's empire itself consolidated great wealth with this whole invasion of, and let's talk about that 1% and who is that really? It's empire, right? Isn't it?
The word was out that Iraq, you want contracts, you want business. Iraq is the hottest investment spot now. When Bush went into Iraq, man, the contracts skyrocketed. Yeah, there was a lot of it induces a sluggish economy with new sources of profit. But who ends up paying? Well, the U.S. taxpayers.
We're footing the bill for we're bailing out the rich.
That's right. That's
right.
Well, how do you guys feel like taking a phone call?
Check this out, though. I want to tell this quick story. A friend of mine, comics and stuff, know people. Anyway, so this friend of mine told me that he was invited to Iraq for, to look at building shopping malls, KFCs, and amusement parks there on behalf of Halliburton U.S. interest, and they invited him there six months before the first invasion. So it's like, wow, they saw that as a market, as some part of the market that serves the empire.
Yeah, a lot of guys made a lot of money on Iraq.
I mean, it was
as Michael pointed out. Yeah, go on.
It was completely premeditated, the whole thing.
That's absolutely true. There was a right-wing think tank called People for a New American Century.
Right.
PNAC, right? I don't know if I got it right. My recall isn't what it used to be.
Me either. I don't even know what day it is.
They wrote a report called Rebuilding America's Defense, and that was published in August of 2001, about a year before 9/11.
Right.
And in it, they very explicitly mentioned Iraq as the country that had to be dealt with, a country that had to be taken down, a country that was exercising too much leadership in the area, self-willed, a country that American interests needed to knock out, so to speak. And they've been doing it.
It's just the business of war, isn't it? It's just the regular
Look what
business
the
of war.
effects are. In Afghanistan, you now have this monstrous thing called the Taliban, this terrible aberration. And in Iraq, you now have these Sunni Shia civil war that's going on. You have these Sharia extremists. That's the thing. That's the only thing that's left. The political, social democratic ways of changing and developing, those have all been destroyed and shattered. And so now these really noxious and virulent groups arise. They get hold of the people, and the people are bitter. The people. It's happened in Central America too. All these.
It's happening in America right now.
It's happening in America right now. All these fundamentalists come along and explain to you why your life is so difficult and so hard. It has to do with you've taken the wrong turn, or there are all these evil people out there trying to get us, and so we have to be alert. And there's
Mitt Romney explained that it was our fault. I mean, if you're poor, it's your fault.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's right.
It's victim blaming fascism, isn't it?
Right.
It's so sad to see it, but I love having both of you on, and we are on the airwaves, so I do have some hope for the people in our country that they will continue to wake up and become more and more informed and realize that they are, in fact, responsible for the leaders that they elect, for the representatives they send in their names. They are responsible for those people. And I think once that dawns on people in a big way, things will change real quick.
Well, I think it's important. It's important to note that when the American people finally did rise up on their hind feet about this attack that was scheduled to go on against Syria, there was so much pressure on Congress from the American people that the president had to back down. So change is possible, but we have to hold these people accountable
and hold their feet to the fire too. And you guys have both done that in a fantastic way today. Thank you both, and thank you, Kathleen, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathleen, I wanted to talk to you about the subject of racism, but I see we're out of time, so maybe next week let's talk about that in depth, Kathleen. That's a good one.
Yeah, we have one more minute, and maybe we can have Michelle Alexander talk about, who wrote the book Mass Incarceration, the New Jim Crow. Maybe we can have her on as a guest. She's wonderful.
Oh, yes, she is wonderful. That would be great.
Okay, so we have one more minute, and I want to thank Phillip Giraldi and Michael Parenti for being guests on Roseanne Live. We did have a phone call. Call next week. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to take your phone call, Linda from Florida, but we'll take it next week. We promise. So thank you, Roseanne. Thank you, Michael. And thank you, Phillip.
Great ideas.
Thank you.
Fantastic talking with all of you today. Thanks so much.